Hello, Dr. McLean. This is my takeaway points presentation final for Music 601 Topics, History, and Philosophy of Music Education. Throughout the semester, I learned a lot about the history of music education around the world and its development in the United States. Takeaway point number one Plato and Aristotle. In ancient Greece, they were educating about the mind and body. Music and gymnastics were very important. Plato advocated censoring music and believed music impacts the behaviors of ideals, the right kinds of music to build character, and a fixed body of truth. Aristotle was a realist and thought beauty was in the eye of the beholder. He didn't support music education, and it could be there for leisure. These two philosophers represent the two schools of thought regarding music education in school today. Plato believes that music should be censored, and it's going along with the argument today. Should we listen to gangster rap, and how does it affect teenagers? As one example, does it influence us to engage in violent behaviors or partake into illicit activities? And and there you have it. Plato has a great argument saying why we should not listen to all kinds of music and be very careful. Music teachers often believe the same thing. We should be listening to the right music for the right development of the mind, body, and emotions. Aristotle is the realist and believed that the beauty was in the eye of the beholder. So, really, anything could be good, I guess, and that can be argued. But he didn't support music education, and and his thinking that it could be for leisure is common with other people who maybe teach other subjects and don't believe music should be included. And we do have to battle this argument because music is being increasingly offered in lessons and instruction in the internet. So this is a common argument, and this is something we've been arguing ever since the beginnings of civilization. Takeaway point number two the start of music education in the United States. So, this is a story about how five individuals got together and it just happened at one time. These events that happened in sequential order that actually culminated in a historical event of starting music education in the United States. So first we have Johann Pestalozzi, who wrote the book How Gertrude Teaches Her Children. Hans Nageli decides to adapt these principles into music teaching. And we have William Woodbridge, who travels to Europe, observes Nageli, and decides this would be a great thing to bring over to the United States. And the other player we have here is Elam Ives, who is a composer and a teacher. Very important because he translates Nageli's principles, which are Pestalozzian principles too, and um, and uses it for music education. Now, I would say the quarterback of this, or the hero of this situation, is Lowell Mason. Now, Lowell Mason goes to see William Woodbridge, do a presentation on Pestalozzian principles, and Lowell Mason believes I could use this. I could use this for music classes, and this is an amazing thing. So he decides he's going to try to do it in the classroom. Well, the Boston School Board decides that it's not a great idea, but Lowell Mason believes wholeheartedly that it's going to succeed, that he teaches for free in 1837 in a classroom. So this proves to be a success, and his actions of doing it for free, I don't think that's not something most educators would do. But then on the other hand, I believe a lot of us believe in our music education or how important it is in the schools that maybe we would teach it for free. And I do hope we never get to that point, but it did take a Lowell Mason to do it for free and prove himself, and change the course of music education history. Takeaway point number three: the scientific movement of the 1880s and its impact on music education. So, an educational reform happened in the 1880s called the scientific movement, where everything had to be analyzed scientifically. And this had a big impact on music education. At this time, many administrators felt that music educators and classrooms and performance ensembles were there just mostly for entertainment. And so the music teachers all around the country had to find ways to prove that it was it could be scientifically analyzed and data could be collected. And so tests were made, aptitude tests were made for music, and also sight singing and things to just prove that music education was viable in the classroom. Music education before that was heading towards a more performance-based road, and which is kind of ironic because um, marching bands do exist for the football team, so there's kind of a dichotomy there that we still have to think about and address. Um, Otherwise, music will always have to prove itself in the classroom. This is history, and it's always going to happen to music education. Music education is always challenged to prove its legitimacy in the classroom. Takeaway point number four: Sputnik. Sputnik would be a historical event, which Sputnik was the first satellite around Earth, and it was created by the Russians. We were in a space race at the time to create our own satellite and to beat them to show our scientific and nationalistic superiority. Unfortunately, the Russians won this one, and this really scared a lot of the educators, the government, everything. So. Um, One of the things that it did was it created new policies, and it was amazing to think that losing the space race would cause people to be more interested in creating original art, which was amazing. I still can't believe that was happening, and I'm glad it did. And the other thing was that it had to help scientists to become better educated so they could win the next race, which is the race to the moon. But a lot of good things came out of it. First of all, the Yale seminar, most notably that it expanded music to K to 12 grades, and also the expansion of repertory that went beyond Western music to non-Western ethnic folk and jazz music, and also included contemporary music. So it made music more important, and also adding keyboard instruction and theory, advanced theory, having professionals involved. So a lot of good things actually happened through Sputnik. And it makes me think that, do we wait for another Sputnik to happen before we deal with an educational revolution that emphasizes creativity and music and arts in the classroom? And I would hate to see that happen, but maybe that's what needs to happen to revitalize the integrity of our profession. Takeaway point number five: technology and internet experts. For the discussions on weeks 13 to 14, look ahead. It was a very interesting discussion about music in the future and what would happen, and the realistic observations or analysis of what could really happen. And a lot of it was pretty grim or optimistic at the same time. So anyway, there's 2 points I wanted to just talk about and that we have to deal with. So first of all is technology. So anyway, technology and internet experts, because so much people are learning music through the internet, which is something we should be concerned about. So I think we as music educators need to promote the depth of knowledge of the subject, and that the depth of knowledge is the most important thing to teach the students. GarageBand has made things easier for the students and to create music, but we have a job to let people know what is creating music. GarageBand is creating loops to arrange songs, and we need to teach them that that's not really music creation, that's arranging. And the other thing we need to do is just make sure we are literate in technology and all the things that happen. I mean, for example, in photography, you're expected to learn Lightroom and Photoshop um, to be an important, well, to be a photography teacher, you know. So unfortunately, in this age, we need to know GarageBand and Pro Tools and all these things, since because it's not just about teaching ensemble classes, but since our curriculum is becoming so diversified, we have to learn alternate technologies and other things to keep our job viable. And also, there's the issue of internet experts. There's also mocks. Um, and a lot of people learn music from YouTube. And this could hurt our profession, basically, because maybe students will not enroll in classes because, why do I need to sign up for that guitar class when there's a YouTube video? I could just do it myself. But we, as music educators, need to realize that our jobs are on the line and we need to promote that it is important to learn properly. And that's the only way to learn, since there is a glut of, not great quality of teaching or playing on YouTube. Maybe there's um, a few good examples of teaching on it, but if anything, the internet has shown that there's a lot more things of not good quality. The range is a lot more, and it is harder to find quality. And um, one thing I wanted to add with my takeaway point, so I would call it takeaway point number 6. It seems that I want to just conclude this. Takeaway point six is going to be about what do we need to do to survive, especially something called Common Core. So my thoughts on that is we need to promote literacy. We need to write. We need to have students identify elements of music and be able to write about it. And it's just a personal philosophy of mine. If you could write about art, therefore you can create art and you can hear art, meaning music, of course, and identifying aesthetic taste and quality, and just being able to validate your own expression through words and through music. I think it's very important that we teach the students how to write. Of course, how do we do this if it cuts into practice time and rehearsal? But I believe we can get it done. I am optimistic. I am glad to be a music teacher, and I was glad to be able to take your class, Dr. McLean. So thank you very much, and thanks for watching.